Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay.
I am James Pietragallo, here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you so much for joining us again. I hope you've been enjoying everything. Last week we got into a dog lover of sorts. So please, if you haven't heard that, go back and check out Bruno Fernandez de Souza, because it's interesting and he's a fucking loon.
Brought to you by Yukonuba.
And yeah, exactly. That's the best advertisement they could get. It's either us or this.
Right.
In case you didn't hear it, he had a woman killed and fed to his dogs.
Right.
So, but we're moving past that this week. No death this week.
Oh, yeah.
This is a death-free week we're going to go with for once. We are going to be talking about Mr. Lenny Dykstra.
Yes, fucking nails.
Lenny Dykstra, nails. Dykstra, let's just start at the beginning with Lenny Dykstra.
Let's do that.
If you don't know anything about him, but you've seen him play, you probably have an inkling that he's a bit of a nut to begin with.
Yes.
Because he would hurl himself into walls and reckless
Smash
abandon.
into other players.
Reckless abandon,
Yeah.
which as a player you want.
Yeah.
He's born Leonard Kyle Dykstra in 1963, February 10th in
It's a
Santa
tough
Ana.
fucking name.
Yeah, Leonard Kyle Dykstra. It sounds like a tough white guy, like a redneck.
Yeah.
He's got a truck with some mud on it.
Families wearing camo and family
Exactly.
pictures.
Yeah, him included. Yeah, born in Santa Ana, California. He's a little guy too. Like he's 5'10", 160.
Right.
Like he's not a big guy at all. Lenny Dykstra.
Scrappy as fuck.
Scrappy, exactly. He's like a little Rocky Marciano.
got a heart.
Went to high school, Garden Grove High School in Garden Grove, California. Was drafted in the 13th round by the New York Mets in 1981.
It's a pretty good round.
It's not bad. I mean, they're not looking at you to. You're not on their plans, but it's like it's not the 42nd round.
Right. They don't expect you to be Jeter.
He's not Chad Curtis.
But if you but if you pan out, that's a pretty damn good pick in the 13th round.
It's not bad, and especially for him, it was. Now, I'm going to get into some things about him in the minor leagues that will come across later big. Lenny Dykstra, the whole thing with him, because it's a financial thing, there's some sexual stuff, but the whole crime aspect of it is very financial, but the psychology behind him is the interesting part.
Insanely interesting. It's so interesting.
It's really interesting. So there's a really good insight. If you've ever read the book Moneyball, obviously the movie starring Brad Pitt also, but none of this is in the movie. If you read the book Moneyball, there is a chapter when Billy Beane, who is what Moneyball is about, he's the general manager of the Oakland A's, very good judge of players, very good judge of talent, character, that sort of thing. And he's an ex-player also. Right. He was in the Mets minor league system with Lenny Dykstra. And he realized when he roomed with Lenny Dykstra while they were playing that Billy didn't have what it takes to be a big star. Right. By looking at Lenny and realizing that's what I need to be a big star.
He knew he had baseball acumen, but he didn't have that genetic DNA, that go-getter mentality.
And it's not even that. It's a certain self-delusion where you don't calculate failure into the equation, and that's honestly what
that's what he's got.
And so Lenny. Billy Beane said about him, he said he didn't let his mind screw him up, which is a big deal for a baseball player because that's half of it is mental. Sure. You're sitting around thinking in between at bats. He said Lenny was so perfectly designed emotionally to play the game of baseball. He was able to instantly forget any failure and draw strength from every success. He had no concept of failure. That's his quote about him.
He's like a delusional open mic comic.
He is. Normally, the only people on earth that this would be good qualities for are comedians and closing pitchers, like a relief pitcher, to forget the past.
It's just, I'm going to be great at this, no matter what.
That's fantastic for baseball, but you'll see this keeps coming up. Just whenever we're talking about him later on, keep thinking about draws strength from every success, has no concept of failure. Because that is clearly his problem in life.
That's his plan on everything. And you're right. That is a bad plan.
It's a bad plan.
Bad plan.
Not exactly an intellectual either.
No.
Billy got accepted to Stanford, Billy Bean.
Jeez.
Stanford. So he's a smart cat.
Yeah.
Very, very smart. So he chose to play baseball rather than go to college. So he used to read a lot of books. When they weren't playing, he'd be reading books because he figured he was getting some sort of education.
Yeah.
And Lenny walked in and saw him reading a book, and he just said he freaked out. He went, "Dude, you shouldn't be doing that. You're going to ruin your eyes." Reading, not good.
That's so fascinating, because
Isn't it
what he
amazing?
ends up doing later in his career, his eyes are the last thing that he gives a fuck about.
But the funny thing is, and he ends up in prison.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. You probably expect that from all of our people anyway. But he ends up in prison, and after prison gives an interview, says he read his first book in prison. No shit.
Good place to do it.
First book, 40-something years old. Maybe I'll read a book.
That's how you pass time.
And he said it was because when he since he could remember, he was playing baseball and he didn't want to mess his eyes up. And so that's how focused he was on baseball.
Now he doesn't give a shit about his eyes, so let's just go on.
And it was actually paid off for him.
Yeah.
Lenny was a great player.
Yeah.
You cannot say a thing about Lenny as a player.
No.
Terrific center fielder, played with reckless abandon.
Yeah.
I mean, basically...
Did not give a shit about his body.
No.
Sacrificed every day.
He got every ounce that he could get of skill and of numbers out of that body that he possibly could. He would left nothing on the table.
I spoke to Jerry Hairston Jr., who came to a show, whatever, and I met him there and spoke to him yesterday.
Jerry Hairston Jr.
Played for the Dodgers.
He played for, I think, 9 or 10 teams.
Probably.
Yankees,
I think it's 13
Orioles,
years or 12
it's
years,
insane.
something like that. Yeah, played for a long time.
Major league vet.
And now he's a sports commentator he's the voice of the Dodgers on their radio station.
Yeah.
And I spoke to him yesterday and asked him I wanted just one question, one answer out of him, and I just wanted to know, what do you think of Lenny Dykstra? And players cannot say enough nice things about him. He said, I really don't know him. Yeah, he's been retired for a while, but he was a great player that played hard and was a winner and had heart. That's what he says about a man that is a convicted felon and is a delusional person in his personal life. But that's what every person that's ever played with him has to say about him. He's an amazing guy on that field. If you can pick 8 other people to be on your team, that's one of the guys you're definitely
picking. They want
picking.
him. A friend of mine who used to be a major leaguer, passed away now, but I remember talking to him about Lenny Dykstra years ago, and he said, man, that guy's crazy. That was his response. This was before any of this stuff happened. It was about 2006, and he's like, man, he's, as a player, he's crazy, but man, does he play hard? But he said the funny thing was his nickname, Nails, everybody calls him Nails. Everybody thinks it's because he's crazy. He's like, it's not because he runs into walls, it's because he smokes 4 packs a day. That's why everyone called him Nails. He's like, I don't know what the hell. He's like, nicknames get weird legends of their own. But he's like, that's why we called him Nails.
He can
Mets
bullshit
PR
all he wants.
department probably said, it's because he runs into walls.
It's because he's tough as nails.
Yeah,
Bullshit. It's because he smokes enough cigarettes every day to put nails in his coffin.
He had a wad of tobacco the size of a navel orange stuck in his mouth, and he would run in between innings when he was off the field and he wasn't at bat. He would run down the hallway there toward the clubhouse and smoke 3-4 cigarettes while he had his tobacco. Just pound them.
With a cutie in each cheek.
Didn't give a fuck. So Lenny was that's what Lenny is, though. He's just everything is, he's ingesting everything. He's playing hard. He's living hard.
Yeah.
In excess. Yeah. He's like he would have made a good gangster, this guy. He would have made a great gangster, like a mob guy.
Just doesn't give a fuck.
Just going through it, the whole deal ends up the same way. But, he's a 3-time All-Star. Yeah. All-Star in 90, 94, 95. Should have got it in 93 also. If you look at his numbers, he was killing it in 93. Started out with the Mets 1985, May 3rd, 1985 versus Cincinnati. His first game, he goes 2 for 5 with a homer and a stolen base.
Pretty solid.
And 2 RBI.
Pretty goddamn solid.
He's making his presence known because he didn't have any. He wasn't nervous.
No.
He was like, I should be here.
Here we go.
There's a thing in Moneyball again. Billy Bean remembers they were in a minor league game, or not a spring training game, and Steve Carlton was on the mound. Okay, Steve Carlton, legendary Hall of Famer. If you guys don't know who he is, look him up. He's a Hall of Famer. He was known as the best lefty ever before Randy Johnson came along, basically.
Great pitcher.
Beast. He was lefty, right? I'm thinking
I
the
believe
same
so.
guy. Anyway, I don't know what the hell. I just had a brain freeze. But
I believe you're right.
anyway, they're looking at him, and Lenny comes in the dugout, and he goes, "Who the hell is this big shitbag on the mound?" And Billy Bean's like, "You're not serious. You know who this guy is, right?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "It's Steve Carlton." And he's like, "Yeah, what's he throw?" And he's like, "What's he throw?" He's like, "Heat out of your ass and the best slider in the history of the game." And said Lenny just sat there, looked at him for a second, and then just goes, "I'll stick him," and walked away.
I'll stick him. I need to go have a lucky strike.
Yeah,
I'll be
I'm
back.
gonna go smoke 4 cigarettes, but before that, when I'm done with that, I'll go out there and stick him.
Fucking incredible.
That's the type of cat we're
the
dealing with.
delusions on this guy.
But in baseball,
but
can't ask for more than that.
He backed it up.
He backed it
would
up.
talk
He's a
so much
beast.
shit, but he was always there. He was always there to come through in the clutch.
He was. Plays for the Mets. He's on that 86 legendary...
Yeah, the great team.
The Mets World Series miracle team there in 86. And he's a big part of it, too.
That's that ring that that's that piece of success that just... He can ride that for fucking ever.
In New York,
the
Mets
my
have
God.
not won a World Series
forget
since.
it. Yeah,
I'm from New York. They would just. It's the same thing like with Bruno the soccer player. They would just carry him through the streets if they asked him. Mets fans would.
That's
anyway.
Him. That's the guy in the biggest city in America, in the biggest sports market, in the biggest market period.
Yeah.
And they won a World Series. That's enough success in any sport.
And there's enough anti-Yankee
Right.
pro-Mets sentiment there where these people are like, finally, we did it. Screw the
and
Yankees.
he's our god.
And he played hard, and he's fit New York too. They love that kind of player that'll run into a wall for them.
Right.
That's the type. When Jeter made that crazy play where he caught the ball and bounced over and nailed his face into the seats, we were like, nice move. That's good. We didn't get if he broke his neck. We would have been like, good move, pal, as they drug his lifeless corpse off the field. We would have been like, you know what? He caught the ball, though, so it's
That's
all right.
what matters.
We'll figure out another shortstop tomorrow. They're crazy. So, anyway, Lenny he hits a big home run in the deciding game of the World Series in 86, too. I mean, that's, man.
Coming through in the clutch.
Coming through in the clutch.
Right.
He's a Mets legend. Anyway, 1989 comes along, June 8th, 1989. He's traded with Roger McDowell and a player to be named later to the Phillies for Juan Samuel. And Juan Samuel just looks like an old, like somebody's, like if you found like a nice Hispanic girl and you went and you met her parents, that would be her dad. It'd be Juan Samuel standing
Sitting
there.
on a couch.
Yeah, that's what he looked like in 1989.
Yeah.
Now he probably looks like his grandfather.
Unkempt and everything.
So,
Hairy
I mean,
arms.
traded to the Phillies.
That's a great deal for the Phillies.
They got Roger McDowell,
Jesus.
who was legendary lunatic himself.
Oh, God.
The second spitter on the Seinfeld episode,
Right.
as you might remember that.
Throwing blows at people charging him. He's a crazy man.
They used Roger McDowell in that episode because that's a believable guy. People went, Roger McDowell. Lenny Dykstra was probably second on that list of people. Like, if we can't get McDowell, we'll get Dykstra.
Right.
Or they asked Dykstra and they couldn't do it, so they got McDowell. One of the two.
Dykstra was busy.
Lenny was busy at that point. So, anyway, he's on the Phillies now, goes to those World Series teams with the Phillies where they lost to the Blue Jays, obviously.
What a fun team that was.
Best 1990 is a killer year, 325, 9 homers, but he's like a leadoff guy, 60 RBI.
And that's the year that was a turning point for him in baseball, too, because that was the year that he claims, and, claims with him are a little loosey-goosey, but that's the year that he claimed that he really got into steroids and really started hitting the cycles. And his numbers kind of prove it. Yeah,
it shows.
Yeah.
This is when his power, after this year, his power numbers spike.
Yeah.
This year, 859 OPS. He still got his speed, 33 steals that year.
That's
which is
pretty incredible.
Great. And also, too, 89 walks to 48 strikeouts. That's a great ratio.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thing where you're looking at it going, man, this guy is
He doesn't
putting it
have
together.
to swing because they're putting him on base anyway.
Either way, he's smart enough. He strikes out half as much as he walks. That's a great sign. 93, by then, the year he should have been an all-star, but wasn't. He's up to 19 home runs.
That's the year that he was pissed.
Yeah, hits 305. Career high in home run that year also for him with 19. 37 steals, leads the league in hits and runs that year, and doesn't make the all-star team.
Right.
Makes it in 94, 95. 94 is the short and strike year, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
First sign of, Lenny's a little loose with his intelligence here. In 1991, May 7th, he's in an auto accident with Darren Dalton, teammate in the car.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to say before this, if you guys want to be entertained, if you want to hear crazy shit, like really crazy shit, like this is crazy shit, but if you want to hear like someone talk about aliens and like really wacky shit, look up Darren Dalton and just get beyond his stats, look up his interviews and quotes from recently, the last 10, 15 years, sit back, have a nice glass of scotch, and fucking enjoy, because it's madness. It's awesome.
He turned into
He turned into somebody's crazy aunt.
Right,
Like,
the guy that's just like 9/11's an inside job. Just conspiracy
worse.
theories everywhere.
I think
He's probably inventing them.
I think he claimed he was abducted by aliens. Like, there's something, I don't even know if it was abducted, but if it wasn't abducted, it was something crazier than that.
There's
like,
absolutely an experience.
he is an
with
alien. It was something nuts. Like, he is an alien, and like, David Duchovny's after him. Like, he's out of his fucking mind. Blood alcohol. They get into a crash coming from John Kruk's bachelor party.
Awesome.
John Kruk is the ultimate baseball body guy.
Yeah.
If you look up John Kruk, he's just like a fat guy with a
He's a
curly
catcher,
mullet.
yes? He was a
first
catcher, right?
baseman.
Oh, first baseman.
First baseman hit his ass off.
And
Great
he has the
average
body
guy.
of a first baseman too.
He has
He's a
the body.
portly fuck.
He has the body of a woman who's worked in accounting for 40 years. And is unsatisfied with
Just
her
a
marriage.
giant barrel ass.
Not good.
Just such a he looks
Great
like
player though.
Right.
He,
oh god, yeah.
He had an awesome retirement when he got a hit, and I think it was his 2000th hit, and he just got to first base and said, "All right, bye," and he left.
See you
and that was
around.
it. Never played again. Anyway, back to them. They get in a car accident. Darren Dalton and Lenny Dykstra, with Lenny driving on the way home from the bachelor party. Lenny breaks his collarbone, gets a facial bone broke. Gets a bunch of bruises on him. Blood alcohol level of .179. Which is a good solid double the legal limit plus a little extra.
That's a few pops.
He had
few.
a couple there.
Yeah.
It's not good.
And that night he said that they went to the police station. He and Darren went into the police station. They arrested him. They did all the paperwork and everything. They just let him go on their own recognizance. And they're walking out of the police station. And he turns to Darren and goes, "Look, man, I don't want to be a pussy at all, but I think I need to go to the hospital because I think I'm dying." And Darren Dalton, he didn't want to feel like a pussy saying that to Darren Dalton.
Yeah.
But to Lenny's credit, Darren Dalton looked at him and goes, "I think that's a good idea. I think I'm dying too."
I'm surprised Darren didn't go, "That's funny. I'm fine because I'm an alien. So I'm impervious.
I bleed
to mortal
orange.
wounds."
That's weird.
I guess I bleed fucking. Anyway, we go on. 93 World Series. Killed it in the 93 World Series. 348, 4 homers.
That was the year he-
4 homers
yeah.
for for
big
Lenny
deal.
Dykstra. 1413 OPS.
Jesus.
So, that's insane.
Yeah.
4 steals. He just owned it. They still lost, but he owned that series completely. Made $36 million in his career also,
Wowza.
which is great. Career stats, 285 average, 81 homers, 404 ribbies, 285 steals, 793 OPS, 1,298 hits. So you can add that up.
He had a solid season.
major league
yeah,
career.
and that's
Very solid.
that's on the career.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
He got 0.2% of the Hall of Fame vote in 2002, so he's not going to the Hall.
No, that's
that
not
booted
happening.
him off the
No.
ballot right
No,
there.
no.
He retires in 1996.
That's
with
about
the
as
Phillies.
good a number as you can have on a career and not make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, 1,298 hits. You got to have your 3,000 hits or higher, 2,500.
But
if you're a
that
power
career,
guy.
those
not
numbers
bad.
aren't indicative of how important his name was.
he was
that,
great.
you know what I mean?
He wasn't a Chad Curtis. He
No,
wasn't-
no,
He was
no.
a guy that mattered on his
right.
team.
He was an
He
outfielder
mattered.
that was extremely important. He had to be there.
Yeah.
If they were thinking about winning a game and having a good season, that man had to be in the lineup.
Absolutely, so he finishes up his career in '96 with the Phillies. Tries to make a brief attempt in '98. Comes back to spring training for a little bit, but that didn't work out because I think his body had to be done. He
Absolutely.
went into the things. 1999, things start to get a little weird for him. He's arrested for sexual harassment. He opened up his chain of car washes. We have to tell you.
When he
after
won the
retired.
World Series, he opened those, right?
Yeah, no, I don't remember exactly when, but he's got a chain of car
Right.
washes in California.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Right.
They're
it's
all
a
over
big
the place.
goddamn deal in California.
Yeah, so Lenny's the car wash
Right.
king. He's arrested for sexual harassment of one of his 17-year-old employees. Not good. 17. Car wash.
It's a little questionable, yeah.
It's looking bad. Charges later dropped. We don't know what
I'm
happened.
sure worse has happened in the MLBs, but
This is sells the car washes in 2003. Makes millions upon millions. of
$50 million
Bank.
for the chain, which is more money than he made in baseball.
It is. Now-
That's pretty awesome.
He also, now, for his credit, though, he had partners in this, too.
Sure.
So he didn't
So he's
get
gotta-
$50 million
right.
out of
He's
this.
gotta pay
He has
people
one
out.
of his partners, Lindsey Jones, is one of his partners, who actually sues him later on. Sues him for I think said Lenny whatever did some shady accounting practices.
Weird.
Weird.
I'm sure. I'm sure they were
also
correct accusations.
Yeah, this is in 2005. This is before the Mitchell steroid report comes out. This is also he's outing Lenny for steroid use. Says he's known Lenny for years.
Right.
Lenny used steroids. Lenny used HGH, and Lenny also used Lindsey Jones to bet on 93 Phillies
Jesus.
games. So he was. That's a big accusation there. Nothing ever fortified,
Right.
but I mean, it's
Pete
out
Rose
there.
is out of the Hall for good because of that.
Exactly.
And he's doing it. He's taking a middleman to say, lay this money on my Phils.
Yeah, I mean, so he's got that. He sells the car washes. He's starting other businesses. He's on the Jim Cramer, the lunatic who screams about shit with his sleeves rolled up. He's on there. He calls him one of the great ones in this business. With that, with
his arms out. Yeah. So great. So great.
He put a big wad of chew in his mouth and was like, Lenny's the best.
Jim Cramer's the worst fucking person. I hate him.
He says also, too, when he sells the car washes, he's on Cramer later, when he sold the car washes, he says he took a year off to learn the stock market.
Oh, boy.
He hasn't read a book.
Just takes a year. Just takes a year when you're illiterate.
He's never read a book at this point in his life.
But don't worry, I'll tackle the stock market in a second.
But he's going to take people's investment.
Do they have a Rosetta Stone for the fucking stock market?
And they're going to need one.
Yeah.
You just see you sitting there going, I like these pictures. This is helping me a lot. Except more mumbly because Lenny Dykstra mumbles every goddamn word he says.
He watched Trading Places once and he's like, just buy orange juice.
He's like, orange juice if it's frozen. Huh. I need a black guy. There's a black guy. I need a black guy. Which then we'll get into Lenny's racial problems later also.
Fantastic. I can't wait.
He's named in the Mitchell report, which was a big, huge investigation into steroid use in the major leagues.
Outing Barry Bonds, outing Clemens, and
tons
everybody.
of people. Jason Grimsley was involved in outing people. This is December 13, 2007. Multiple sources said he was an anabolic steroid user. In the book by Randall Lane called The Zeros, he said he had to perform better than those wanting to replace him. That was his $25 million on the line. Understandable, honestly.
I got you, man.
I'm not going to bash anybody for steroid use in that era, especially because it was wild, wild west.
It was crazy.
Other people were doing it, and they were competing with you.
And it was obvious.
And if you're 5'10", 160 pounds, and you're going, I hit 9 home runs. If I hit 20, I'll make double the money.
Absolutely.
Come on.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
And
so
these guys are throwing their bodies against the wall and sacrificing themselves every day anyway.
Yeah.
What do they give a shit about their joints and how their body breaks down?
Lenny doesn't think about that, as we know.
He's got a ring. Who gives a shit?
No concept of failure, including his body, I think, too.
Yeah.
Right now, I feel good. I'll fly into that wall. We'll figure that out when it comes.
Fuck it.
That's how, and he lives his whole life like that.
And if something breaks, steroids help you heal faster.
Exactly.
That's all he cares about.
He probably got banged up a lot.
Absolutely.
And he probably did. He sounds like he does a lot of painkillers. He did.
And he did. The way he talks, holy shit. It's like his jaw is just frozen in one spot, and he just flops his tongue around in his mouth trying to get words out.
He doesn't even try to enunciate. There's no attempt at enunciation. It's just whatever.
Listening to a story from him is fucking crazy.
So things are going well for Lenny. We're in the mid-2000s, or 2006, 2007. Things are starting to take off.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of money in the bank.
Bunch of money, and things like everything's. He buys Wayne Gretzky's mansion.
Jesus.
And this place is a palatial.
15,000 square feet.
And it's in L.A.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, this place now, this was for $18 million then. Now it's probably worth 55.
Wow.
I mean, it's insane if you ever saw it. Big fountains.
Yeah.
This whole thing.
Wayne Gretzky lived there. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice house.
Yeah.
But he said, where do you go? Lenny Dykstra said this is the best house. Everything he has, by the way, is the best in the world.
Yeah, it's the best thing.
His watch is the best watch in the world.
There's nothing else available that's better right now.
He has a tie that he said was the best tie in the world. He's like Donald Trump, but slightly...
Yeah, he's a retarded
Donald
Trump.
Slightly less literate, we'll say. The rest of it, intelligence, I'm not even going to... They could be equal.
If you slam
Lenny
Donald...
didn't inherit that much
that's
money.
A good point. That's a good point. They
Lenny made this on his own.
Donald Trump has not said how many books he's read.
That's true.
Say that.
That's true.
Lenny may be... If you slam Donald Trump's head into the wall 50 times and then slam him against Mookie Blaylock at
Wilson.
Or Mookie Wilson. Did I say Blaylock?
Yeah, the old Atlanta Guards point guard.
Slam him against Mookie Wilson at 20 miles an hour. They may come out talking and thinking exactly the same.
And so thank fuck Lenny hasn't run for president. Let's just say that. And also, too, for his family. By the way, Lenny's 3 uncles were NHL players,
Right.
NHL hockey players. Pete, Jack, and Tony Leswick apparently were his uncles,
That's
and they
pretty
were all
impressive.
played in the NFL. So I mean, it's an athletic family apparently. But his son, Lenny's son, Cutter, drafted in 2008 in the 2nd round by the Brewers. That's a
Pretty
prospect.
solid, yeah.
He's in Double-A right now. His son Cutter also had a son with Meadow Soprano.
That's right.
Samuel Siegler.
That's right.
So I mean, this is like, I'm wealthy. My kid's going to be in the majors soon. He's banging Meadow Soprano over here. They're spitting kids out. They got that Sopranos money. This is good shit. Life is good, right?
But then again, Cutter's going to have to deal with that MS that she's got right now, too.
That's
not going to
That's gonna be a problem.
good later.
His son Luke is drafted by Atlanta in the 7th round of the 2014 draft later on, too. So I mean, just to show the athletic stock that he's got going on.
He's got a lot in there.
Now, this is when things start to go a little awry here. He starts a magazine called The Players Club.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now this is the first unraveling of this whole thing. This is 2008 is the launch of it, okay? He says, in his own words, not just a magazine, it's a comprehensive lifestyle and finance brokerage company aimed at helping athletes with all aspects of off-the-field life. Steer them toward annuities, which he called recurring cash flow for later. So, I mean, he's trying to make this magazine. It's a thick, glossy, really nice magazine with ads from like charter jets and Patek Philippe watches that are $50,000, shit like that, in it, that goes to all of professional athletes. It's for professional athletes. It's advertising services they might want, and it's a financial. He wants to have he wants to take these people's money and invest it. It's basically, he says, it's players helping players.
It's hysterical. How would somebody that's a player not get that in their hand and go, "Are you shitting me? What is this?"
Yeah. No,
it's essentially something that should be handed out at the rookie symposium in the NFL and be like, whatever's in this, never buy it. Never do it.
But at the time, he's flying high.
Yeah.
He's saying he's got $50 million at this point. He's saying, I am liquid $50 million.
And you don't know him, so you don't know how full of shit he is.
And he's on the news all the time.
Yeah.
He's on Fox News. He's on CNBC. He's on all these channels.
And if you've been in California, you've seen his name on a car wash.
He's on all these channels, and they're going, Lenny Dykstra, a baseball success story.
Right.
Post-baseball, he's got $50 million. So you're going, fuck, maybe this guy knows how to invest.
Essentially, it feels like that
he didn't
magazine.
make $50 million in baseball.
No,
so you're going, he's made this later.
He's got that afterwards. If you essentially, that magazine is made by Lenny so that he can go, here's a tool that I can use to help these athletes give me money to invest in things, because Christ only knows how little money they would give me if they fucking talked to me in person.
They knew that I never read a book. Ever.
If they heard me speak, there's no way they're giving me a dime.
Now, I'm going to sum up this whole experience of the Players Club and the business side of it and how it fell apart. And there's a great article that was in GQ magazine originally by a guy named Kevin Coughlin.
Okay.
Pop that beer, Jimmy.
Yeah, let's do that.
Go
One
ahead and
and
do
a two
that.
and a three.
All right. Guy named Kevin Coughlin. Now, Kevin Coughlin, he wanted to be like an editor or whatever, so he was a sports photo editor at the New York Post at the time. And he gets Lenny's number and calls him, and he was curious as what's going on, and maybe he could be a part of this magazine.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to move on from that, and he wanted more of a leadership position, he said.
Looking for a better opportunity.
So he asked Lenny for an interview. Lenny says it's 8 days after he got his number. He gets an interview from Lenny, tells him to show up at like 12:30 at night on a Monday night at the Carlisle Hotel in New York City. Right?
What?
Weird right away.
That's the craziest job interview I've ever heard.
He's saying I'm flying into town and then I got to leave, whatever, so, I need to do it there.
Sure.
So he says, fine. He waits in the lobby for him, waits. Lenny eventually calls him. He's late, and he says, look, dude, we're on the jetway now. I'll be there in a little bit. Pulls in, makes him wait downstairs in the hotel lobby while he goes up and does something. Dude's sitting there again. Finally, the elevator operator comes for him and says, Lenny's ready for you now. He goes up to Lenny's office, and he said he's just got like 3 laptops running. There's shit going everywhere. He's pounding Twizzlers and Coca-Cola.
He's got a ticker tape showing stock prices.
Yeah, he is like a crazy person, just like a completely manic, going off on things. I mean, he asked the guy, why do you want to leave? He tells him, I want more leadership. And Lenny responds to a normal job interview question when the guy said, I'd like more leadership. And Lenny goes, oh, yeah? And then he shows him his watch. He says, see this watch? I don't wear jewelry except for this. Best in the world. Costs $65K. And the guy's like, okay. Like, if that sounds great.
That's a hell of an answer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
makes him sit down for 2 hours as Lenny just emails people and like sending video clips and YouTube shit to people and like,
hey, have you seen this one of these kids falling down?
Literally asking his like opinion on it. What do you think of that logo? You think that's good? He's like, yeah, all right, whatever. And the guy's like, I'm on a fucking job.
Check out this video of this cat playing the piano.
It's 3 a.m. at this point. Is literally his wife's calling him, and she's like, where are you? He's like, I'm still with Lenny, and she's like, what? Tell him you have to leave. And he's like, no, just a a little while longer.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
how do I do that?
Already this guy is in trouble.
Jesus.
Yeah, basically, Lenny's stuffing Twizzlers in his mouth. It's 4 a.m. now, and Lenny says, all right, tell you what, I'll give you $100,000 a year plus benefits. So he tells Lenny, I heard you offered another guy, I think it was from Sports Illustrated, right. I heard through the grapevine you offered him $120. So Lenny, he says, you know what, bro, that guy was scared of me. And then he does the douchiest thing I've ever heard in my life. Anyone who quotes Scarface, just fuck off now.
That guy was scared of me.
Yeah.
Go on.
You like it, that's fine. Don't be quick. He actually says, the eyes, Chico, they never lie.
What does that mean?
You're Leonard Kyle Dykstra. Your family drives pickup trucks and wears camouflage.
There's a gun rack somewhere in somebody's house.
No.
You've got Realtree camo shotguns.
He said, the eyes.
Do not say to me.
They never lie. He says, I like you. You're not scared of anything. So are you buying into the Players Club or what?
Listen, Kyle. Jesus Christ.
So Kevin...
Are you buying into the Players Club?
Kevin Coughlin's like, I guess. Like, he doesn't know what to do. And then he looks over at him and he goes, you know what, man? You could be a millionaire. He goes, well, I'll make you a partner in this. He tells him,
I thought you said $100K. Which is it?
Well, no, later on. He says, I'm going to... Am I a millionaire?
Am I a millionaire? What's going on here,
he's
Lenny?
He's selling him now. He says, he goes, I'm going to give you a stake in this thing. I want you to be one of the partners. He goes, in 3 years, we'll sell this thing to some media company for $300-400 million, and we'll all just take a nice thing. So that's Lenny's plan here.
I feel like when that guy left, he should have been like leaving in a Toyota Tercel, and
he was. We will get to that.
But I feel like Lenny just
sold
him
There are mortgage payments missed. I'm not shitting.
I feel like Lenny just sold him a Toyota Tercel and a fucking timeshare somewhere
with like a bad water pump.
Are you into the Players Club or what?
So you're gonna buy into this? What do you spend on hotels when you go on vacation? On the average, let me ask you something, Kevin. What are you spending on a hotel? What?
Tell me about airfare.
Yeah, airfare. Let's add this up. Hold on, I'm getting my cal. I thought I was here for It's 4:00 in the morning, and my wife's calling me.
Listen, it's not a timeshare. It's called ownership.
It's ownership is what you're getting, just for a small share of the time. So Lenny projected that in a couple of years he'd be managing $11.5 billion in assets and money for these players. Because he said, as long as there's players making big salaries, this is going right in their locker. He's like, we in his quote, we're recession-proof, baby.
We'll get to that.
You're not Dykstra-proof is the problem.
Yeah.
That's the issue there.
Recessions ain't shit compared to Dykstra's.
Things start to fall apart a little bit here. Like, Lenny's very crass. Like, there's a meeting where there's a layout, and Lenny goes, hey, this looks faggy, he says. And there's a guy that everyone knows is gay who's on the team standing there very uncomfortably. And after he leaves, Lenny turns to Kevin here, and he says, see the look on that fag's face when I said that? So, I mean, Lenny's not a sensitive guy.
Holy shit.
Then he says out of his first 4 covers, 3 of them were Derek Jeter, Chris Paul, Tiger Woods. And then the other one was a female. I don't remember who it was.
Pretty solid.
Pretty solid, right? And he says, hey, nobody can call me a racist. I put 3 darkies and a bitch on my first 4 covers. Can't call me a racist. Darkies everywhere.
I ain't no racist or sexist. I put a bitch on the cover.
Bitch,
that
darkies.
Is fantastic.
And then Kevin said, what was that? Like, he wanted to make sure that he heard it.
Yeah.
Pardon me? And he said, I put 3 spear chuckers on the cover. He said it louder and clearer. Like, you get what I'm saying?
He's like my grandpa.
Blacks.
That's awesome.
I put the blacks on the cover. So... I mean, Lenny's a fucking disaster as a person.
Bitch.
He's never read a book, and he
shit.
and he calls black people darkies.
He is a menace.
He's basically like someone's grandfather that grew up in the mountains of West Virginia and never wore shoes. You know what I mean? That's what he's talking like at this point.
And bathed in a bathtub on top of a fire.
Yeah,
that's so good.
This guy, they put out the first issue. This guy's thinking, oh, this is great. Like, he really enjoyed working there. Yeah. He said that lasted for about 3 days. Because in 3 days, he gets a call from Lenny.
It didn't strike you as odd that your boss just called black people darkies?
Well, I don't know if that was before or after it started to go back.
All right.
But either way, he for this guy, the experience was like because he was putting together this magazine. He was really important in the editing.
He was the editor,
He was one of the editors,
He's
so he was
guy.
really doing a lot to this thing. And he was working hard. He said he was working all night.
Yeah.
He was really doing a lot. Lenny calls him up and says, "Hey, bud, I need your credit card number."
Uh-oh.
And he's like, "Pardon me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm at this private jet thing. I got to get this jet. Don't worry, they're not going to charge anything. It's just an authorization. I got to fly down to Atlanta, pick up $500,000 cash.
Holy shit.
I need your money." So he's like a Nigerian prince now. Give me your credit card so I can go pick up like Lenny
I'll
Dykstra.
give you $500 million for your credit card now.
Man,
what?
He's a redneck. He's Nigerian.
It's a great deal.
Shake. He shucks and moves, man. And he's like, I don't know about that. He's like, dude, just let me do it. It's worth $5,000 cash to you. And he's like, he knew he was never going to get the $5,000 cash at this point. He's like, he goes, look, all right, you can do it, but like, I'm really trusting you with something here. He goes, you can trust me with your life, bro. Also, don't tell anybody about this. I'm the most trustworthy guy in the world, but keep that under your
Never
hat.
tell anybody.
Never tell anybody about my shady deal. And the guy's like, "Why can't you use your money?" He's like, these high interest cards. I'm not blah blah blah. Like he made some excuse, and the guy's like, "Okay." Turned out, this guy got billed for $14,000 and the whole thing. It was nuts. So that's the bad sign. That's when you can tell things are
his
happening.
fucking assistant's $14,000.
Yeah, he shows
That's
up.
awesome.
It's bad shit. Now he shows up. Lenny misses a meeting misses a meeting with the leasers of the office. They have an office in Manhattan, high dollar building. He said it was a shithole little drab office in there, but it was a high dollar building.
It's 1,200 square feet, but it's like fucking.
And Lenny's
10 grand
bragging,
a month.
going, "I'm gonna put all flat screens up here, get rid of this artwork. We're gonna repaint. We're gonna get nice furniture." He's a jerk off bragger.
And by the way, can I get your credit card for that?
Yeah. So they say that he owed them back rent, so they shut off his phone and internet. Hard to run a company off.
That's how they do it.
Off of that.
Yeah.
6 days later, Kevin gets shit canned.
Oops.
This guy gets fired because he was asking for his money to be returned to him. He's basically asking to be paid.
Yeah. Can I get my money and this 14 grand back on my Amex?
So yeah, and he said like he literally missed mortgage payments.
Of course.
His wife was fucking pissed, as you can imagine. Imagine doing that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Forget it.
It's Lenny. They're like, I don't give a shit if it's Lenny Dykstra. I don't care how many
I give a fuck who it is.
the wall catches he made.
I give a fuck who. I don't care if it's Michael fucking Jordan. Get your goddamn money and pay our credit card, please.
Yeah, I want to pay the mortgage. So this office was $30,000 a month, by the way.
Holy shit.
$30,000 a month for this office space, which is nuts. Basically, he's fired, and this guy's like, "Look, I want my money. I want my paycheck." Lenny tells him, "You can have your paycheck if you sign a confidentiality agreement." So he said, "Tell you what, fuck you. The story that I have is
Keep
worth
the money. I can't wait to call NBC.
More than one paycheck, and I think he was owed another like $1,400 in expenses or something. Because Lenny's personal assistant like covered some of the shit back. Like everybody was scrambling for this guy.
Sure.
20 lawsuits in all were filed against the Players Club magazine. And later on, there's a Real Sports goes to Lenny's house.
Oh, I saw this. This is fantastic.
Yeah,
that Bernard Goldberg is fantastic.
He's great, and this is after
he's so fucking mean to him.
Yeah, once this article comes out in GQ too, now there's reports of racism, foreclosures. The press is starting to go, "Hey, what's up with Lenny Dykstra now?" Because also too, at this point, they're foreclosing on Gretzky's mansion.
Right.
He's still in the house at this point, but it's under foreclosure.
And there's no copper in the fucking place.
Yeah,
he's
got
looted the
later
place
on-
like a meth head.
He looted it later on. Yeah, they said that there's articles, things of him just driving up and selling shit to consignment places and stuff, like crackhead.
You like this door?
Yeah.
How about this
literally
chandelier?
A truck full of shit that's worth just crackhead shit. You know what I mean?
How about the hardware on these cabinets?
It's not good. So we get
Brush
to
nickel.
anyway. So Real Sports goes there and knocks on the door. No answer. Door's unlocked. So he goes in. Lenny. This place is like a real cavernous mansion.
And it's naked. It's
Naked.
so empty.
Not a stitch of furniture.
Nothing.
And this guy's just Lenny.
Great floors,
it's echoing,
though.
Lenny.
Unbelievable.
Mr. Dykstra. He's calling him, leaving him voicemails. Please call me back. And eventually, when he
Lo and
comes down
behold,
the
there he
stairs,
is.
like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?"
What
Okay.
do you mean, how's it going? I've been here 25 minutes with a camera crew.
in your home.
We've been wandering around downstairs.
Unreal.
It took us 25 minutes to find everything, but we've seen everything in this house.
Seen the
Great
lack of
faucets on your
furniture.
Great faucets in your
Nice
bathroom, by the way.
fountain. There is a Maybach out front. That's the other thing, too.
you had a
Maybach. I'm so poor that I don't even know how to fucking pronounce that car. That's how broke I am. I don't know.
$400,000 car in the horseshoe-shaped driveway.
Nuts. So, and But this guy's great too, Bernard Goldman. He's like
So good.
And Lenny just takes him, and Lenny it's the same. It's like the Kevin Coughlin job interview.
Right.
He just sits at his desk and starts doing shit. He's like dicking around on his phone. He's playing on the computer. And Bernie's standing next to him, going, "So what do you say to people that
It's hilarious.
your creditors that say you owe them money?" He's like, "I don't owe anybody money." And he's like, "Well, yeah, you do." And he goes, "What do you say to the people that think you're broke?" And I'm in that camp. I think you're broke.
By the way, I'm one of those people.
And he goes, "Who do I owe money to?" And he's like, "The publisher for your magazine, the printer." And he goes, "Their people are fucking criminals." Criminals.
Fuck the printers, he said.
People are criminals. I don't owe them anything. Guy goes, "Okay, well, what about a flight attendant that you never paid?" He goes, "Fuck that flight attendant. Fuck him. I don't owe anybody anything." And he's not even making eye contact. He's like on his computer. Fuck them. He goes, everybody's just trying to get my money.
And then going back to that guy's interview, showing him the watch that's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
He's showing Bernard Goldberg pictures of a German Shepherd saying, "This is a world champion.
Yeah.
10 grand.
Best in the world.
I'm buying it.
Best in the world. Best in the world. There's reports in this interview of he would take his tie with his Players Club staff.
Right.
See his tie, $500, best in the world. And he'd rub his crotch on it and fart. That was his fucking.
He's
That's
like
his sense of humor.
He's like a psychotic uncle that comes to Christmas and
won the
bullshits
lottery.
you for an hour.
Yeah. He's like, "I was in the CIA. I killed 150 Viet Cong." Okay, Uncle Bob. You were 3 during Vietnam.
I got a necklace full of ears. Uncle Bob, those are pig ears.
You were
Those
born
are way
in
too big.
1964.
Right.
You were not there, Bob.
You were 18 in 1982. What are you
It's not
doing?
gonna work. Also, too, his wife Terry files for divorce in April of 2009, and
Right.
from then on, this is a timeline of disaster at this point.
This is where his life crumbles.
We get to July 7th, 2009, files for bankruptcy. Claims $50,000 in assets. I guess his watch is his asset. I don't know.
Yeah.
$50,000 in assets versus 10 to 50 million in debts.
Wow.
Bad ratio.
I'm going to assume one of those 10 grand of that is that German Shepherd.
Yeah, 17.5 million's the damn house.
Oh boy.
He had unsecured. Now this is where the banks are idiots too, and this is This is
part of that.
This is financial crisis.
Right.
This is why this shit happened
Right.
in 2008, and this is what
So
happened.
much for recession proof.
There's even a bank that completely ate shit and crashed during that time. That was was his main home lender. Washington Mutual was his main home lender, as we know what happened to Washington Mutual.
WAMU went down fast.
They fell apart like it was like Herbert Hoover was president. It was a disaster. So, yeah, not good. He had unsecured loans from J.P. Morgan Chase. Unsecured.
That's insane.
Who give? Because he's Lenny Dykstra.
Right. There's like Lenny.
$12.9 million.
Here's $12.9. Take this, Lenny.
J.P. Morgan Chase. $12.9 million.
Wowza.
Just because he's Lenny Dykstra, unsecured.
Where you at, Jim Cramer?
They literally go, well, Jim Cramer said he's good at this. So
I saw him on TV.
I saw him on TV. It can't be a lie. I saw him on Fox News. It must be true.
Mad money. That's
money.
mad as fuck.
Bank of America, he owed $4.2 million to.
All right.
I mean, these are, and then there's just a bunch of other ones.
They're the
too.
giant banks, though. The biggest ones, he owed a shitload of money.
We get to September of 2009. He is barred from his homes now. He's not allowed to go in his homes. They're foreclosed. He's accused of vandalizing them, taking all sorts of copper, like
stealing
we said.
Copper, stealing
shit.
AC units.
There's actually security guards there posted by the trustees in the bank to make sure he doesn't come on the property.
Back and take more shit.
Now we get to October 6, 2009. The Wall Street Journal reports that Lenny Dykstra sold his World Series ring.
That one piece of memorabilia that proves that he's a success.
This is kind of sad, actually.
That's terrible.
Yeah, as much of a shit as he, that's something that I feel bad for somebody.
I feel
bad for anyone that has to sell that.
That's the one. That's their identity. Yeah. That's the thing that says, this is what I've done in my life.
They go out, you put that on, you're legit.
You know who that person is.
That's Lenny goddamn, not a lot of people have. So he sells that for $56,762, undoubtedly to some Mets fan.
I wish I had 56 grand. That's incredible. That's a great piece of.
That's just going toward his 31 million in debt. So it's an OJ situation. Same exact thing, except he doesn't have all the shit that OJ had. Right. He's got things that he made up in his head and pictures of dogs. That's his main. I don't know what he's got. 2010, December 2010, he's accused of. This is the scummiest thing he did, by the way. He's accused of hiring a female escort who was also a porn chick named Monica Foster.
Yep.
I don't know who that is.
Sounds hot.
I'm sure she was. And he wrote her a bad check.
What a piece of shit. How much
He
was
wrote
the check?
$1,000.
Oh, Jesus. $1,000.
You don't cheat
When was that?
a whore.
In 2010?
2010.
That's
12, 13 through that.
That is 4 years after that Bernard Goldberg piece on Real Sports. And on that Real Sports, he's pulling out cash out of his pocket going, I don't know about broke. I got
That
cash
was my
right
favorite
here. And he
thing.
said, I always carry $1,000 on me. Why couldn't you pay this bitch?
When he pulled out the wad of bills, because they said, aren't you broke? And he pulls out this wad of bills and starts fumbling through them like he was going to give Bernard $5 or something.
Bernard goes, you got $75. I like it.
I never carry less than 1,000. And he's just fumbling through money. You owe $17.5 million on a house. Your pocket cash isn't what we're talking about.
On the house
here.
we're standing and having this conversation about your $1,000.
You just do not do that to a sex worker. I'm sorry. That's like we're comics.
Yeah.
We go out, we do our thing, we feel fucking cheap and beaten afterwards anyway. At least give us our check.
And at least I didn't
have
have
it clear.
I didn't have a piece of somebody's anatomy in and out of me for hours.
No, but mentally we really do. We really do. So I'm not going to say sex workers have it worse than comedians. I'll never fucking say that. I'll never say that. Mentally, it's just as abusive on us. So yeah, $1,000. So
wrote her a shit check that bounced. That's incredible.
The next month, January 2011, he's accused of sexual assault of his housekeeper.
I can imagine.
Said she said he would make her blow him on Saturdays. They asked why didn't you quit. She said, I needed the job. What are you gonna do? She needs a job. It's Saturdays. He's like, he tell you what you could do here. On Saturdays, you could either do like a grout deep clean between the tiles in the kitchen, or you could blow me. And she was like, that takes much less time. Now, I don't know what happened there, but apparently
everybody else in America looks forward to Saturday.
Not this guy. She's like, oh, not the weekend.
That's the way to fuck somebody's whole life.
Friday.
Yeah.
That's her. Yeah.
God damn it. Everybody's like, TGIF. And
Yeah,
she's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, IF.
Friday.
Not good. So,
go fuck yourself, IF.
oh, man. On April 14, 2011, he's arrested and charged with bankruptcy fraud.
Yeah.
And then there's a separate arrest in this whole thing. He's arrested at the same time, but different agencies arrested him for grand theft and in relation to auto purchases. He's held on $500,000 bail.
Bought a stolen car.
He did a lot of car things. That's what he went to prison for, was the cars. All the shit he did, all these investments, who knows where people were putting money in and it was going out.
Yeah.
This is where he really...
And going back to Donald Trump, he did use everything, the system of America, he used it to his advantage to fuck other people and benefit himself. And then he gets caught. He's like Al Capone of baseball, where Al Capone goes to jail for tax evasion.
That's what he did.
This fuck goes to jail for buying a stolen car.
Well, it's a lot, and it's a financial scheme. So on June 6, 2011, he's arrested again, charged with 25 misdemeanor and felony counts of grand theft auto, identity theft, filing false financial statements, and possession of cocaine, ecstasy, and HGH.
Good.
That's a full roundup of charges. That is the whole enchilada.
They essentially hit him for all the charges that they missed on Al Capone.
Yeah.
They caught him for everything else he's doing.
Al Capone doing ecstasy. Got all jacked up on HGH. Terrible
just
for
the
Chicago.
Drugs and all that shit.
So,
and they catch him for it.
He pleads no contest on the financial stuff, the identity theft, filing false financial statements, for them to drop the drug charges. That's why they did it anyway. They muscled them a little bit.
Takes a plea.
2011, June 29th, the mansion sold.
Oh,
the trustees.
Good for him.
So not for him,
Good
for them. They get their money back.
They get their cash back.
We get to August 25th, 2011. He's charged with indecent exposure.
Jesus.
He was apparently allegedly placing ads on Craigslist for an assistant or for housekeepers, and then telling them when they got there the job also required massage, and then he'd take his pants off and whip his cock out. So that
massage is right here, right in my midsection.
So he'd get naked, like, let's get started. And they were like,
Saturday.
I don't think so. So September 7th, he pleads not guilty to indecent exposure. Then we get to the next year. On March 5th of 2012, he tries to withdraw his no contest plea when they go to sentence him. He sits there the whole time. Then they go, okay, your sentencing's up, and he goes, I don't want to do this anymore.
Let's change our minds.
He's trying to draw it out.
Shit,
they tell him, sorry, pal, I don't think so. Go fuck yourself.
You signed a paper.
It's Saturday. You're going to blow some up. So
remember how you loved Saturdays? We're going to make you hate
It's not
them.
going to be as good. He is sentenced to 3 years in state prison, credited with a year time served. So that's nice. 2 years. He's whatever. Basically, the thing was he would buy, him and his associates, he had a whole band of fucking merry lunatics here that would buy cars with false statements and stolen identities. So that's hardcore.
That's deep.
That's not just I'm in debt and I'm not paying the bank and I'm buying Maybachs. This is
really making an effort.
That is criminal shit.
Absolutely.
That's very criminal. Finally, he does some time in prison. While he's in prison, some bad things happen to him regarding guards, allegedly, and we're going to get to that later because he's made some really amazing statements recently, just recently. He's released he goes to in Victorville, California. He's released in July 2013, 6.5 months served. He's on probation, weekly drug testing, lives with his ex-wife, Terry, who does not plan to remarry him either. She's like, you can stay here,
right?
But your mumbling ass is getting out of here when you can pay the rent.
She ain't Bruno's wife.
She is not Bruno's wife.
No.
She's no conjugal
She's not babysitting any stolen babies.
Yeah, said he read his first book in prison, which is goddamn amazing.
That's hilarious.
Now, recently, he's come out and been a character again. He started to make himself known in this whole thing.
Doing interviews.
2015, he comes out and says he spent $500,000 on investigators to get dirt on umpires. Basically, he's claiming he put I'll give you his quote. Let's do in their own words.
I love
Jimmy.
it.
What do you say?
Fire up that music.
In their own words, here we go. This is what he said about hiring private investigators to spy on umpires. I thought to myself, I need these umpires. So what do? So I pulled out $500,000 and I hired a private investigation team. Figure the umpires, their blood is just as red as ours. Some of them like women, some of them like men. Some of them gamble, some of them do whatever. It wasn't a coincidence, do you think, that I led the league in walks for the next 2 years, was it? Fear does a lot to a man.
He spits out so many fucking cliches.
And then he says he would get up to the plate and he'd be like, hey, did you cover last night? And the ump would call a strike and he goes, oh, I don't think you heard me. Did you cover the spread last night? And so then they get a little tighter with the strike zone at that point.
And he's such a bullshitter in the terms of anybody that you know personally that in your family it's just that guy that's known for just stretching the truth in any fucking story. He's that guy.
When he was a kid, he'd be like, I had sex with this girl.
Right.
No, she's like in South Carolina. You don't know her. She's really hot though. And
she let me finger her, and then
her sister came in.
And then Push came to right there. It is. And then he takes that extra thing. Her sister came in. We all fucked.
And he's like, so can I get your credit card number? Like, what? So. He goes on Colin Cowherd, and he said he's writing a book about why he shouldn't have been in prison. So he still doesn't get it. That's the thing. It's that shark. Does no concept of failure.
Yeah.
He's going to write a book going, look, I'm a good guy. Obviously.
The ring's gone. The ring's gone. You're a fucking failure.
You are a failure. He comes out in November of 2015, so recently, and says he thinks he has brain damage.
You think?
He says he's got brain damage, but he says why he got brain damage, not running into walls or anything like that. He wants to sue L.A. County for $15 million, Los Angeles County.
Here it comes.
Because he said in 2012, deputies pulled him out of his cell and beat the holy shit out of him with nightsticks and everything else. He said while whistling, "Take me out to the ball game." That's his claim.
Being honest, I'd pay to watch it.
Just whacking a guy. Buy me some peanuts and cracker whack.
Cracker whack. That would be amazing because he seems to be such a racist.
Yeah.
Cracker whack. A black guy saying that would be amazing.
Yeah, maybe he heard his previous quotes and he's like, "Hey, stop hitting me! I put 3 darkies on the covers. What do you want from me?" For Christ's sake.
Female guard hits his leg. And he says, "There was a bitch.
There was a bitch." So. He said they broke his teeth apart, and his teeth are still broken, and he has problems eating, and he claims they broke his skull, but there's no documentation. He says that it must have been videotaped because everything's surveillance, but he's afraid it's destroyed by now, which if they cracked the guy's skull open, I'm sure it was. December of 2015, Daily News catches up with him in New York City paper.
They're such ruthless dicks. I love
Find him playing Santa in a rooftop party. Pictures with him and 3 elf-dressed strippers. amazing.
That sums up his whole life.
It's great. He's complaining that Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
guys aren't in because of roids. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds, he's just having a whole big
How
thing.
many drugs must have been in his system?
And then to close out this story,
Yeah.
let's do it with a little in their own words.
I can't
again,
wait. Here we
because
go.
this is what he tells the Daily News. They ask him, what are you doing basically? How are you coping? How's your life? And he says, I got all kinds of stuff going on. Every day above ground is a good day. It's about bringing something to the party. Give people give people hope. Without hope, we got nothing. I'm doing a big book, moving the chains, getting some first downs. Slowly but surely, we'll get in the end zone.
He's got brain damage.
He's got lots of brain damage. So that
You didn't play that sport.
you didn't play that sport. He
That's so good.
is mixing metaphors.
That's so good.
He's got I'm doing a big book. Retarded Donald
It's
Trump.
so big.
That's going to be the name of this episode,
It's
I
so
think.
many
Like
pages.
a retarded Donald Trump. Because
Call it that, please.
violent Forrest Gump we've had, and now retarded Donald Trump. That's what he is. He's retarded
It's
Donald
so
Trump.
good.
So I know retarded is not something we can say or
Well,
whatever.
you
but
know what?
Fucking, you can't say
He's
darky
pretty
either. So
fucking-
if
yeah.
he can say darky, I
We
can
can
call
say
him retarded.
retarded.
Fuck him. So yeah, he's going to end up in the end zone. I mean, and that's Lenny Dykstra, man.
There
In
it
a
is.
nutshell, he's out there right now, 3 months removed from a Santa suit and some strippers on a rooftop. What do you say about that, man?
He's a nightmare. He really is a nightmare.
Great player.
Can you imagine,
all
though?
the heart in the world?
He's a fantastic grandfather.
He is.
He's got. I mean,
He's cool.
I
No World
want
Series
that.
ring to look at.
If I'm 3 or 4, like his grandson is, that's a great guy to grow up and
Yeah.
tell stories
He's fun.
about later.
He's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to hear stories from him,
Holy
too.
shit.
Even if
Yeah.
they're not true. You're going to hear stories, at least. I don't know.
I can't wait.
How
I
true
want to
they'd
meet
be.
him terribly.
Yeah, he's beloved by the players. Like I said, beloved
Yeah.
by... If only Lenny Dykstra could have played baseball his entire life, he'd be fine.
If only
Honestly.
if only he could take the dedication he had to baseball and dedicate that to just being a good goddamn person.
Stop trying. But it's like he had this thing, whatever it was. It's the psychology. It's the Billy
he
Bean
milked
thing.
he milked
gonna-
the banks.
I'm going to read it one more. He was able to instantly forget any failure and draw strength from every success. He had no concept of failure.
He's a great white.
Did Billy Bean
great
sum him
white.
up without knowing that
That's
he was doing
unbelievable.
it?
And that was, when did he say that?
2002.
2002.
He told Michael Lewis, the author of
seat-
Moneyball.
His career is over. He's off into the sunset with his $50 million from his car washes, ready to just go retire, put this in the
nailed it.
bank, and just chill out. And he can't fucking do it because why? Because he can't rest on his
I'm
laurels.
telling you, man, Billy Bean had him nailed. It's a wonder the A's suck all the time. It's
amazing.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah, yeah.
But so that's Lenny Dykstra. Please, guys, also, we didn't say this up front because we got right and we were so excited, but please follow us on Twitter at Crime and Sports.
There it is.
Facebook.com. Facebook.com//Crime and Sports. Gmail, crimeinsports@gmail.com.
That's it.
Please rate and review on iTunes. We cannot explain to you. I don't know how their algorithms work, but that's the big deal. Rate and review. We've got a few lately. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, really, for listening.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
We
Thank
love
you for listening.
guys
It's
for
amazing.
listening and putting up with us.
It really
and
is fun.
We love doing this, and we hope you enjoy listening to
Seeing
it.
ticks on the stat sheet from outside of this country is fantastic.
It's cool.
That
It's
feels
cool.
really
we saw
cool.
somebody was listening. A couple people were listening in Ghana, which we thought was interesting.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know where that is. I'm gonna Google
in
it though,
Africa.
and thank you.
Western Africa. Not good.
I assumed
You
it's all a
assumed.
shit
Yeah.
country. It's not near as cool as the U.S. But
Interesting-
thank you
Interesting
for listening.
fact about Ghana. Lenny Dykstra is willing to put 3 people from Ghana on the cover of his magazine, but only 3. So please join us next
Thank
week.
you.
Every Tuesday. Jimmy, want to give him your Twitter handle?
Yeah, at Whisman sucks. WHISMAN. It's Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm at Jimmy P is funny. Next week, please join us. Next week, I believe we're going to do Sally McNeil.
I want to.
We've teased
really.
it.
Yeah.
We're going to do this.
She's such a mess.
She's a crazy weightlifter lady that is. It's going to be as fun as anything we've done. I'm telling you guys.
And if I was single,
It's wild.
I'm pretty sure I would be her victim. She's fucking.
Probably.
I love her. She's so fucking hot. That's so
But
awesome.
upcoming episodes, we have really good stuff. We have a couple football guys, soccer guys.
That one I can't wait for.
Gavin Grant's going to be fun.
Yes.
We're gonna maybe look at. We're going to look at Ryan Leaf around the NFL draft. All of his interesting stuff. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into Mark Gator Grogowski, the skater, skateboarder, killed his girlfriend. We have so many lined up. Baseball, football, basketball, soccer, extra sports, weight, you name it, we're going to do it.
The sociopath ain't our last.
Whatever it is, just trust us. It's funny. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at quality, funny stuff. So join us next week. Thank you so much, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.